welcome back to another video on our channel. This week we're going to be tackling our upper head cabinets. Overhead, upper head, overhead cabinets. We're going to have a bunch of overhead cabinets in the van. I don't know if we thought this through, but we need the storage. The first thing we have to do is we have to cover up this piece of wall that we left uncovered. We figured that it's easier to just put the 5mm ply up on the wall than it would be to try to put it as a back to every single cupboard. So we've already cut a piece of plywood here. That's going to fit nicely in here. We're going to secure this up to the wall, and this is going to act as the backing to our cupboards. Initially, we thought we were going to have our cabinets start here. This is where we have our big horizontal beam that goes across. But then once we put in our bed structures, we kind of realized that we would probably be knocking our head on the cupboard all the time if we did it like this, especially because we don't have our mattress in here yet, but that's going to add another few centimeters to our bed structures. When we were framing out the van, we kind of had this fear that something like this would happen, so we put in some of these vertical battens on. This way, if we needed to place our overhead cabinets slightly higher up on the wall, we would have securing points all throughout this wall to do so. We're going to have to go one cupboard at a time because they're all different depths. We just went outside really quickly. It's kind of raining and storming, but we went outside to cut the pieces of wood to build the base of the cabinet, which is the first step towards building the cabinet. 70mm wide, and then it's going to be 19mm deep. We've cut 2 of the width pieces and then 2 of the depth pieces, and then we put some Craig jig holes in them and some screws. We've put the pocket holes at the bottom so that the plywood that's going to be the bottom of our cupboard sits under here and just covers them up nicely. We had to go upstairs and use our table saw to create a bit of an angle here. That's what it's going to look like. The base of the cupboard is going to be a very short cupboard, as you can see. Now we're going to add the face of the cupboard. We've already cut up the pieces of wood. We've put the structure together. We added an extra support here on the middle because we want to use 5mm ply as the bottom of the cabinet. It would bow maybe if it didn't have this extra support right here. We measured and cut a 5mm plywood bottom for the cupboard. Then we also did these sides. We had to spend a lot of time making templates for this, but we figured it out. That's what it's going to look like. It's in! As you can see, we have our first overhead cabinet on here. It's missing a lot of details, and obviously it's missing a way to open and close it, but we already have stuff in here. So yeah, this is just going to take close, so it doesn't have to be too sturdy, but we used 30mm screws here on the top, and then we used 50mm screws at the back. Now we're going to move on to the passenger side. We've already cut up the piece of wood that's going to be the finishing piece for this wall. Here it is.
So we just finished putting together our frame for the first overhead cabinets that's going to go on the passenger sides. And right now we're going to put these 3 pieces of wood that are going to be the height for our front facing frame. Just like so, and then one in the middle, like that.
We've already put the structure together. It has the bottom in already, and we've just cut the middle divider piece. After testing this out and making a template out of cardboard, we traced it out on 10mm plywood and arrived at this. We tried it on with this up against the wall. I think it looks nice. We just have to secure this in place. We used some 20mm screws to screw this into the wood beam in the middle. Upstairs we also cut up the sides for the cupboard. So now we're gonna screw these to the sides of the structure and then we're gonna put it up. I've just aligned the side using these clamps and now I'm gonna screw this in and hopefully it'll look nice. Second bedroom cabinet is done. That's the first one right there. And this is the second one. The one on the left is much bigger than the one on the right because we had to accommodate for the fan. We didn't film all day and it's been raining. That's what you get when you do a van build in winter. So we've been confined to the small space of the van. We've been working on our brainchild here. This is our last passenger side overhead cabinet. We had to work around the fact that this is going to float over the sliding door. I'm going to put this in place so we can show you what we did for support since we didn't have the back support here. Right there. This piece of wood here at the back lines up perfectly with this supporting beam we have over the sliding door, and that's how we're going to screw it into the back here. Let's go. You get this.
Careful with all the silicone there.
Yeah. Wires through. Let's go.
You have to line this up properly.
Cooking. Pretend to cook. I want to see how this looks like from the back.
From the side. Okay. Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks cool.
Let me see.
You can see it through the cabinet though. We're gonna figure out something else
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
We're gonna have to put like a small piece there. We're putting up this wall today, so we added 2 layers of 10mm ply here on the left side. This is where our 12-volt outlet's gonna go. For reference, this is our 12-volt outlet, and as you can tell, it's very bulky in the back. That's why we had to create some volume here to create some distance from the wall because we don't have that much depth in the wall. On the other side, we have a 230-volt outlet spot. The 230-volt outlet is not as thick as you can see. It still pops off at the back a little bit. So in this cupboard that we're going to have right here, we're going to have 2 12-volt outlet things and 2 230-volt outlet things on this side. 12-volt on this side, 230 on this side. Right here is where we're going to get the 12-volt power from, and I just made these little, well, we've been calling them lollipops, and this is now basically transforming 1 wire into 2 wires because now we have 2 spots in the Wago to insert wires into. This is necessary because each of our outlets has 2 separate wiring. So these are our 230-volt wires. For the 230-volt outlet, it actually is a double outlet in the front, but it only requires 1 set of wires to go in. But I still had to make some extension wires because the wire we used for the pre-wiring is too thick to fit into the outlet. So we had to get some thinner wire. I think this one is 14 gauge. That fits into the outlet. I'm going to pass these 2 Wagos on the top, that's how I get the most wire. And now,
yeah, these ones are already
push up
here.
against it. And I guess I just have to screw this in now.
So basically what matters here is that the middle one has to be the ground, and then for the left and the right sides, it doesn't matter which is which.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Hey, you did it!
I did it.
Good freaking job.
Okay, now let's try and squeeze it in.
Kind of have to stuff the things in
That works.
like that.
As you can see above me, we have our first little piece of wall with outlets in it. Now we're gonna put in the wall below it. And this wall is our busiest wall. We have it, sorry, We have it right here. It has 2 holes at the top for our light switches. It has this raised platform with the holes for our 12-volt plugs, a 230-volt plug hole as well. Before we put it up, we have to add some extensions to the wires for the 12-volt plugs and the wires for the 230-volt plugs.
So we just finished putting up the extension cables for the 12 volt and the 230 volts. Now we're gonna screw in the wall and make the connection. Nice.
Alright, so now we're going to wire for the switches. We made a square-shaped hole. That's exactly the dimension of the switch box thing that has to go into the wall. So we made it so the switch points down when it's off. It has a little click when it turns on, and it goes from low light all the way to the max brightness. The wires are labeled, so it comes with 3 wires, the switch. Red goes to the power positive, the black goes to the lamp positive, and the white goes to the negative or to a ground wire. Our light positive is this longer wire. Our power positive is the other positive wire we have here. Okay, and then we have this white that could go to a ground, but we're just going to connect it to our negative. Looks great.
Yeah?
Yesterday we put up this wall and this wall. The wires coming out of this wall here are the wires that are going to feed our under cabinet lighting. We're about to put in this wall. We have these 2 areas where we're going to have some receded storage spaces, like cubbies. We're also going to have some outlets down here, 12 volt and 230 volt. We've already wired for it, so the 230 volt we've added some Wagos to transform these thicker cables into some thinner cables that fit into the outlet. And the 12 volt, we just added some Wagos on the end because we need to do 2 sets of connections. This is our piece of plywood. We have our 2 inserts here. We've already cut all of the holes for the outlets, so now all we have left to do is attach this to the wall and then do all of the wiring for it.
Now that we finished putting up all of the walls, we were able to wire all the 12 volt outlets. Here comes the really exciting part. We're going to be able to connect them to power.
These are the cables, the positive and negative, from our pre-wiring we did for the USB plugs. So this is what we need to connect to our fuse block. So once I'm done tightening this, we're still not going to have any power running through. In order to get power running through, we need to add our fuse right here. Okay, that's in. It didn't blow. That's the fan. Didn't blow.
Okay,
and we have some light coming out of the USBs. All of them have this light coming out, so I'm assuming they work.
Can I test it out?
Let's turn on the solar first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charging! I have to test all of them now, right?
I mean, sure. So we took the structure upstairs, we ran it through the table saw at an angle to make sure that the back sits flush with the wall. Now the structure is put together, so we're just going to trace the plywood's bottom and sides. We have the fan full blast, we can't see.
We're up. I'll get the small one and help you out here.
It's okay, I got it. Just start thinking about the connecting the lights thing.
I'll do the mouse then.
Yeah, for the fuse.
Fucking hell, I almost ate shit.
You have to remember the switches for the maths.
That's where everything went wrong last time, boy.
Yeah, we blew a few fuses last time. Oh my gosh, okay, I think I'm done.
Round of applause for yourself, babes.
Thank you. The next step is to put up the lights that are going to be mounted under the cupboard. We cut some holes on the base of the cupboard for the lights to go. These are the same lights we used for the ceiling. We have the wires that we pre-wired coming out of the wall right here on this cupboard. And we cut a little groove on the middle beam of this division here in the cupboard to pass the wires through to the other side so we could wire our second light.
I'm gonna hook up this first light directly onto these Wagos that we have right here. So, as always, blue for positive, brown for negative. So now we're gonna put in the second light. For this one, I already attached the Wagos on the positive and negative. So now it's as simple as connecting the Wagos.
That's it.
So for the lights, we actually already connected the wires for them because we tested them before putting in the walls. It's this wire right here.
The fuse is in, so now Rico is going to turn on the master DC first.
And then the breaker.
I'm going to be filming the fuse just in case it blows. It didn't blow and we have some lights on. Okay. We have one light on, so I guess this dimmer is not off.
So first up, we have a front door light that we can just turn it on and off as soon as we enter or leave the van. It's going to be right on the sides of our kitchen cabinets, so right at the entrance. For now, it's living right here. Let's test this one out first then. There it is. Next up, we have the under cabinet lighting. So for this side and for the kitchen side as well. Let's turn them on. Alright, all three of them are on, which is good.
It's working.
Yeah, nice. And then lastly, we have the bedroom lights. So these two ones above me. There they are.
Whoa!
Lights! You can tell the difference right away from the reading lights to the...
It's a different color.
Yeah, these are like warmer.
We have a dimmer switch so we can control...
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is on the maximum, on the plus. We can go on the minimum. You can see them dimming.
It's good lighting, I think.
It's really good. I like it.
I think this one's going to be very nice for cooking.
Yeah, this one is like, imagine me cooking right here. Having this light on, really good for cooking. Really
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. And this one for washing the dishes?
This one, washing the dishes.
We already have all of our bed tops in. These are going to open like this. We're going to have to install some piano hinges. You can also get a little sneak peek of the color we went with for the base cupboards. It's like this darkish, grayish green. It's very pretty. So we cut some breathing holes into each of these pieces of plywood to avoid any mold or humidity building underneath our mattress. And we also made some handle holes. So this is just the first layer of paint. We did some primer and we did some paint. It's chipped a bunch of different places obviously, so we're going to fix those up. But we're just going to put it together now. We just wanted to get a base coat in before putting in any hardware. The first thing we got to do is silicone and screw in these back pieces. Right now they're not screwed in at all, so they just come out. Good morning, everyone. Today it's freezing outside. I'm in the van with the shop light and a couple of lights on, and I'm just here to paint the overhead cabinets. Yesterday evening we were cleaning and painting the primer onto all of these overhead cabinets. So the primer's on. I kid you not, I've been painting for a month straight every day, and I am done. I don't want to paint anymore. The reason why maybe we're not filming as much of everything that we're doing, it's kind of just because we're more just focused on doing everything and getting it finished rather than necessarily filming. Today we're starting to put up the overhead cabinet faces. We've cut them all to size, primed and painted all of them. This is kind of what it's going to end up looking like in the end. We still have painter's tape on the ceiling, but yeah, so this is kind of what it's going to look like. These are the hinges we're using. Whoops, sorry. So 55.7 minus 53.3, 1.2 of overlap on each of the sides. So we've put the hinges on the 4 back overhead cabinet faces. We've just been measuring for these little attachment pieces that we're going to have to put in. This is going to create the right depth in order for us to put in our button locks, because our button locks are made for thicker plywood basically. So we created these out of 10 mil ply. This way we have 20 mil ply for our button. So now I'm just going to silicone these in. we've put in 2 cabinet. There's a mosquito. We've put in 2 cabinet faces already. We took this upstairs and we added the locking mechanism. And if I push this button, you can no longer open it because it's locked.